I've got it been out here. Now I had a screw in it before to hold it in. I think I'll probably do a little more work on that. If I had to, I could just cut it, bend it. Of course, I can't really pound it in because it just bounces and comes back. But anyway, that's fairly minor compared to that big old piece I had hanging out. Well, it's all bolted up. I dug my gouge out here. It's really straight, like I say, about 1/8 of an inch. This is all good. Nothing that I can't fix. I got quite a bit of a gap here. I discussed that before. Bigger than I like, but good enough. And the door's opening easily. Not touching anywhere. Well, the first thing I did was use this fiberglass reinforced putty. I tried to fill it up on the inside of the door there, and started the inside of the fender here. I got quite a bit inside of there, and this is a lot stronger than regular Bondo, and it's waterproof, so any place it's touching metal, it should seal it pretty good. And I'll give this a rough sanding once it dries, and then we'll start working on the Bondo. I'll use a longboard sander to try to get it as straight as I can, and once I sand that, then I'll be able to tell where it's going to need more fill. I'll probably use a little guide coat in there to tell me how far I've got to taper it back. But we'll let this harden up, and I'll hit it with board sander, and we'll see where we're at. Well, I put a little guide coat on this, and you can see right in this area here is where it's starting to sand into the primer. With all that whole area right there that's still kind of red, that all needs Bondo. So I'll just mix me a batch up. Try to put a skin in there, let that harden, move on to the next. While I was waiting for my stuff to harden, I cleaned this up a little better. Started sanding on it. It's pretty straight. I've got a little dust there in this crack, but let's see, pull it out with a file or a hacksaw blade. Works good, and I think I'm pretty straight here, and we'll get some Bondo on that door. Kind of moving on here. This is like about the second coat of Bondo. About got it flush, and it's about where my guide coat quit. And it's looking pretty straight. Looks good down this way. I'm going to try to get this as straight as I can, and then I'll work on closing that gap. It's kind of tough because the door has to clear it. Solve a lot if I could move that door forward some. This back gap is good, and I really don't want to mess with that. So we just keep bonding. Kind of a slow process. Have to spray it on, take it off. I started up here on this hood, sprayed a guide coat on it. A little sanding, you know, it looks pretty good so far. I've got to sand some of this down. That shouldn't be too hard to do. Alright, we got this all sanded down flush. Now when I open this, you can see I got about 1/16 of an inch there, and then it's going away, and I've got it marked from there to there. We have plenty of gap right here, all the way along the top, and of course the bottom from the hinge out, from here to about there. You can build all that up. So it looks like I can build that top part, a little bit right in there, and a lot down in the bottom. So that's what we're going to do. Mix up another batch. Try to put it into this fender. I'm not going to mess with the door, because I can get Bondo up in the fender and make it thick, and the door I really can't. I can, but I can't sand it. So we're going to try to fill this all up, and I'll use my epoxy putty stuff there. It seems to be a little, sticks better than the Bondo, and it's as hard or harder, and it sands pretty good. So we're going to try to build this area up now. Okay, I tried to fill this with the body putty. This stuff's really runny, so I just kept working it until it started to get hard. I've probably got too much of it in some places, but I got a pretty good thick bead in there, and we'll let this harden, and then I'll try opening the door again and sand off what it needs to clear. And it looks like I have to put at least another coat in it, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be hard enough. Once I can open the door, then I can kind of fill it from the back and strengthen that outside edge. But it looks pretty good. Looks like I've got the bottom closed up pretty good. I still have to work some more on that top part. But we just let this harden and trim it up with a piece of sandpaper and see what we got. And there's another coat. I'm just trying to fill up this edge. I know it'll hit in a few places when I go to open the door, but it looks like I've got the gap down. It's about as good as I can get it. I need a little more right up in here. This can't do much with because the door will hit it. The bottom just needs to be straight. I think that gap is good enough there. I think I'll just let this harden real hard. The last one I did was a little bit wet or soft. We'll let this one harden real good and file it down. I've been using a hacksaw blade to reach in there and cut out what I need. seems to work pretty good, but I think I've got this gap pretty good now. For the inside's good and sanded down, and this last mess here was just for to bring this thing flush as far out as I could. So once this hardens, I'll sand it a little. Moving on here to the hood, I did a little guide coat, and I found a few low spots. Now this is a red glazing putty. It takes quite a while to harden and it shrinks. I prefer this gray stuff here. It's a harder putty, but this stuff's real easy to sand, but it does take a long time to harden. I bought one tube of it. I was going to use this for my final pinholes, but I just thought I'd throw a little on here now and see how it worked out and how it sanded and stuff. This is this Evercoat, Everglaze from Spot Putty. It's good stuff. It's pretty good stuff. It fills holes real well. It sticks good. Easy to sand, and it doesn't leave pits. So anyway, just a little bit more on the hood. Still waiting for this to dry. I think I'll have a cup of coffee. Well, I got the gap pretty good, and I think this is a little low here, so I just put a little guide coat on it, and we're going to sand that off and see how much more filler I got to put on that fender. As you can see, quite a bit. Here's where my sander started hitting, so this whole area right here needs to be filled to match that door. I mean, it looks good, but the sanding is what is going to make it. So another coat of filler on it, and we're looking good here. I got it pretty straight, and the door's opening good. I got like 1/8 of an inch lip in there. When I put more filler on here, of course, that's going to make that lip thicker. So should be strong enough. Here we go again. This is all flat, and I've got about 1/8 of an inch clearance here all the way around to my door. It's all flat across here. Pretty flat here on top. So I think it's good enough now to throw another coat of primer on it, and when that dries, we'll see what it looks like. And there it is, all primered up. I can see I got some little pinholes that I need to fill. A few pinholes, but looks good. The crack is bigger than I like, but good enough. And the door's opening easily, not touching anywhere. So now I can see what I need to do to glaze it, but I'll let this primer dry. And I shot this place here too that I sanded. Primer was coming out pretty Pretty clumpy. I need to clean that gun. It's spraying all over the place. Got it all over my window. And I'll try to clean that off and call this a day.